I love it. I love it. Boeing, they're facing some very hard, no pun intended, questions about the Starliner and its future in space. Because did you hear the news?
Yes, I did.
That apparently, they're reaching out to Elon Musk for SpaceX. Have you heard this about, their also fantastic Starliner? Turns out that they might not be able to get their people down from the space station. So, have you been following the story along, Indy?
I have. As has Dr. Nick, and I think we've had a couple laughs about it. It's a very serious situation. It's embarrassing for Boeing. The fact that they can't get them home. They're stuck. They don't know how to manufacture the parts. They don't have a way to get. And now the latest, I know you're going to probably talk about the suits. We've been speculating whether there's a pact between the astronauts and their spouses as to whether there is some funky business being permitted, seeing as they're stranded alone and may never get home. Are they getting a pass because they're out of this world?
Oh, come on. Don't be like that. These are serious scientists. They're not having orbital orgasms up in space. What's wrong with you? I just made it up on the fly. I did it. Smartest man alive. All right. Anyways. And hold on. Marco.
SpaceX. Oh, that's very good.
Get up. Go see the White House counselor. I'm not going to tolerate that in my classroom. Get up. Go see the White House counselor right now. How dare you? Shame on you. Shame on you. Where'd you learn to talk like this? There you go. But also, Chicago, great one. Sex in space sounds really, really messy. Yeah.
Fluids. Yeah, gross.
All over the place. Sensitive machinery. So there you go. Mastermind, get up. Go see the White House counselor, by the way. Go see the White House counselor. There you go. But anyways.
That's for Dr. Nick, by the way. I think it was Dr. Nick that started that whole conversation.
Oh, it was Dr. Nick? By St. Abachan. You must once again reiterate the litanies of St. Abachan and St. Jack. Shame on you, Dr. Nick. Saying it was Troy. You mean it was Trey. It was Trey. Anyways, let's go ahead and pull up this article here. This is, again, Starliner astronaut's mom. They will return safe and sound. And look, I want them to return back, okay? But, my goodness, the pair will return to Earth next year. So September, October, November, December, January, February of 2025. They're going to come back. Oh, my God. So, again, Bonnie Pandya, the mother of Boeing Starliner astronaut Suni Williams, said in an interview on Cuomo that both her daughter and Butch Wilmore are keeping busy and are happy at the International Space Station. I want these two to return home.
They're keeping busy, all right. They're getting busy? What? Did she just say they're getting busy?
That's not what the sentence said. Despite another delay,
they're keeping busy. Sorry.
Yeah, keeping busy. Despite another delay in the return to Earth, Pandya is unconcerned. I don't give her any advice. She knows what to do. She's a seasoned astronaut. She's been up over 400 days in space. So, they have things to do. They have jobs to do. They have experiments. Oh, horrible choice of words. The astronauts have been at the ISS since the beginning of June on what was initially expected to be an 8-day mission. After multiple delays from the multinational corporation, they are now slated to return to Earth in February 2025 via SpaceX capsule, NASA decided. Oh my God, listen. If I was Boeing, I'd be so humiliated. So Boeing faces hard questions about Starliner in space. And by the way, folks, here's the thing. Some people are saying, well, gee, how come they just don't detach the Starliner from the space station? Well, first of all, putting on the space, this is a huge design flaw, and it's really messed up. But if they were to detach the ship, the person who's in there has to detach it, but they can't come out because they can't wear a spacesuit because the spacesuit's too big to get out of the hole. That's almost an innuendo. But anyways, that's how flawed this whole system is. The moment NASA announced that the crew of the Boeing Starliner will return to Earth next year on a ship built by the company's rival SpaceX, the questions began. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, shut up. Bill Nelson was asked how confident he was that Boeing's spaceship would ever fly with a crew again. 100%, Nelson replied without hesitation. I wouldn't. Not if it's got Boeing on it. No, thank you. Nelson said he just spoken with Boeing CEO before the press conference in Houston on Saturday, who assured him that they intend to move forward and fly Starliner in the future. Not everybody is so sure. Starliner will return from space as soon as next week. But the two astronauts who blasted off in June for what was supposed to be an 8-day mission at the International Space Station will now stay for 8 months because of glitches that cropped up during the test flight. It's another blow for Boeing in what's been a brutal year for the aerospace giant, and observers say it could have big implications for the company's future in space. Boeing is going to
Did you hear about their CEO? I don't know if you covered this last week, but they fired their last CEO, Dave Calhoun. They hired a new guy. I'm sorry, that's Starbucks that hired the new guy out of California, and he gets to commute in a private plane because he was going to work from home. And then they realized they have these work from home policies, and Boeing has similar work from home type of policies.
Okay.
So they literally got him the use of a private plane to the tune of millions of dollars to be able to come into the office once a week.
Oh, shut up.
Welcome to corporate America, folks.
Shut up.
Starbucks. Yeah, by the way, he's getting $113 million a year salary, too. They stole him from Chipotle.
Oh, man, Chipotle, man. What the hell, Chipotle, right? But, I mean, look, let's face it. Who's never dreamed about flying in a private jet? But just seeing the opulence of the top 1%, it's like, guys, do you remember the French Revolution? I mean, yeah, it might have happened years before any of us were born, but I think there's a lot of lessons to learn, from what happened to the French aristocracy or even Marie Antoinette, which, by the way, she never said let them eat cake. That was propaganda and smearing against Marie Antoinette. Sweet Marie Antoinette never said that. Okay, so there you go. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so Boeing is going to need to grapple with the consequence of the failure of this mission to achieve its test objectives. I would never hire them again. I wouldn't ask them. These two astronauts, for all we know, worst case scenario, that Boeing Starliner could have been kablooey in space. Okay. Well, they should consider themselves lucky that they got that capsule to the freaking space station in the first place.
Or that the door didn't fly off.
Oh, God. Oh, let's not even talk about that. That would be a momentous shift for a company with a storied history in space that sketches back decades. 10 years ago, Boeing's got the lion's share of funding from NASA's Commercial Crew Program, more than $4 billion, while the upstart SpaceX only got $2.6 billion. Oh, so sad. Boeing has since lost an additional $1.6 billion on Starliner. Now, look, I got my criticisms for Elon Musk, and especially with, how he's been running X. But look, the innovations that SpaceX has done, especially with returning rockets and so much more. I mean, these were things that were presented to NASA way, way, way back in the day in which they have failed to implement on. It's almost as if NASA's getting lazy. And then you have Boeing, which, by the way, creating a faulty spaceship and then creating faulty aircraft. This is a company that I don't trust. It needs to be purged top to bottom. And everything needs to be reorganized. I mean, you had numerous whistleblowers, some of whom have mysteriously passed away.
Unalived. Yes, shout out to John Barnett, man. What a tragedy. That guy knew. That guy tried to warn all of us.
Yeah, hey, the planes are falling apart. No, they're not. And then the door comes off. NASA's goal all along was to have more than one private company that could get astronauts and equipment into orbit and back. Boeing's struggles with Starliner makes that strategy look smart. You know what? No, it doesn't. Because here's the thing. Okay, on the one hand, yes, you should have not only NASA, maybe dare I say it, let's create a jobs program to create, space programs to do more jobs, and actually, invest into future projects, because I'm all for space exploration. But when you have a company that's cutting corners so much that they'll even cut corners on a smooth circle, this is an institution that I don't trust. This is an institution and a company that tells me that they don't care about public safety. This really proves that you need to do redundancy, said Monica Young, a fellow with the Aerospace Security Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Sometimes things go wrong, like a spaceship going kablooey, and you need that second plan. Young thinks it's too soon to know if Boeing will walk away from the Starliner program. It's not a failure just yet. Hold on, folks, listen. To my armchair astronauts out there, and look, I am not an expert or an engineer or an astronaut, but folks, is the Boeing Starliner a failure? Type 1 for no, Kit. This is trial and error. We got to trust them to do the process. Shame on you. Type 2, no, they failed. This is a failure, okay? It's a failure. I'm not a scientist or astronaut, but I know a failure when I see it. I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. Space is relatively a small piece of Boeing's portfolio. The company's new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, has other pressing problems like turning around the company's commercial airline business after major safety and quality control lapses, which should be a number one issue. The engineering challenges there are very different, but observers say there are some parallels as well. Almost all Boeing's problems are cultural. It's almost as if they were told it's okay, you could be laissez-faire. It's a management team that was completely disconnected from the folks who actually did the design, integration, and manufacture of the company's products. That's a recipe for trouble, and you've seen it in jetliners and defense products, and now, of course, in space systems. Boeing has not said much publicly about Starliner. So what can we take away from this, my friend Indy? I want to give you the final word. What do you think of this whole thing with Starliner?
What happened to NASA? We defunded NASA and decided to privatize the entire space industry, and therefore we're now relying on douchebags like Elon Musk to save our astronauts? What could possibly go wrong? Right now,
somewhere out there, Elon is laughing at Boeing, but it's on the one hand, I find it funny. On the other hand, it is really sad. What NASA? What happened to you? I mean, in the movies. NASA, you were always portrayed guys as smart. I mean, in the hit film Armageddon, you guys had 2 space shuttles at the ready to drill a hole into an asteroid. Now,
yeah, well, we saw one got destroyed, didn't it? Didn't it blow up?
But it was an accident. But it was an accident. See,
that means they only have one left, and that was how many years ago now? No. Anyway, I also didn't hear you mention that the spacesuits were not compatible.
Yeah,
allegedly. The Boeing spacesuits did not have compatibility with the SpaceX machinery. So now they're going to have to build some kind of an adapter, I guess, to connect the spacesuits, because I don't even know if they can connect to the oxygen tanks that are on the SpaceX ship. I don't know how it works. But allegedly there were some connections that didn't match.
Remember when we used to think that there was like smart people in charge and safety and quality control? I mean, there was a time when that was considered, like, everything was considered. Now it's like, let me just scratch my butt crack and see how this all works out. I mean, that's what Boeing, that's the kind of energy you're giving off. And these 2 astronauts being up there for what was supposed to be an 8-day mission, I'm rather grateful that there is food supplies up there and other things so that the astronauts don't starve or die or anything like that. But I think any kind of hope that NASA had in regards to keeping its credibility in the public's eye has evaporated, because no one looked at the Starliner properly. And even before it launched, I remember before it even launched, there was talk about problems with the Starliner, and they didn't do anything to stop it. All of this lands at Boeing's feet, and Boeing, I love you, but you are not.
I don't love them.
A serious person. No, I
don't love them.
I'm using my Logan Roy quote from Succession. I love using that. If you haven't seen the show Succession, it is about failure, because even in that show, there's a rocket that does explode, which is funny, which says a lot about quality control. But this is the world we're in, and the people that we trust to build our airplanes and our spaceships are using nothing but duct tape, bubble gum, shoestring, maybe Elmer's glue, and there we go. What could go wrong, folks? Flying the unfriendly skies and going into space, Boeing. Any other commentary?
Again, R.I.P. John Barnett, and to the other whistleblower, I don't remember his name either, who was unalived. Remember that this is also one of the largest defense contractors in the world. They are not just a commercial airplane manufacturer. There are national interests at play, which is why we think that there was some kind of foul play with regard to. Look, there are two major airplane manufacturers in the world. It's Boeing and Airbus. And the U.S. government sees it as a strategic advantage and as a protected secret, or to make sure that Boeing does not fail, because otherwise, who's going to make the planes for the U.S. military? Airbus? We're going to trust the French to make our planes?
Sacre bleu. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but see, we've seen this before. Especially during the Second World War, when there was more corporations at the time, when they were designing and building airplanes for the campaigns in the Pacific and in Europe. Some of these planes were built, piss poor, that cost the lives of many American fighter pilots. And I guess the more things change, the more they remain the same. And now Boeing, which has a monopoly. Folks, how do you feel about flying now? Type 3, 4, I'm okay with it. Type 4, if the plane crashes, at least I'll leave a beautiful corpse. I wonder how many 4s will be in the chat.
Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, all these companies used to be separate organizations that all competed with each other for government contracts. Now there's like 5 of them. General Dynamics, Raytheon, Boeing, General Electric. You can name who they all are. Right? These are the people. This is the military industrial complex that Eisenhower warned about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And yet, nothing is changing. Be careful out there, folks, and keep your heads on a swivel.